All right, welcome back. Cross-price elasticity of demand. All right, so in this video, we'll learn how to measure cross-price elasticity of demand. So let's get to it. All right, so what exactly is this new-fangled term? Price elasticity of demand. All right, so we're looking at how the change in the price of one good will affect the quantity demanded of another good. Because remember, we talked about we have substitutes and complements. We have goods that go together, like milk and Oreos, and we have goods that can replace one another, like a hamburger and a chicken sandwich. So when the price of one of these changes, how much is it going to affect the quantity demanded of the other? So this is cross-price elasticity of demand. So for instance, we have here, well, here's your equation, between goods A and B equals the percent change in the quantity of good A demanded divided by the percent change in the price of good B. So if Oreos are A and milk is B, we have a change in the price of milk. So let's say the price of milk increases 20%. We know that Oreos and milk are complements. So what we want to know is, all right, milk is more expensive, so we expect that the quantity demanded for Oreos will decrease, but we want to know by how much. So how much is the demand for Oreos going to decrease? And so we measure that, and we could say, all right, the demand for Oreos decreased by 10% when the price of milk increased by 20%. And so we'll get to that in a few minutes, but that's basically what we're doing. We're trying to see, all right, if milk price changes, how much will that affect the demand for Oreos, or whatever two goods we're talking about? All right, so let's go through each of these possibilities. One possibility is that the two goods are substitutes. So in this case, hamburger, grilled chicken sandwich. If that's the case, if the two goods are substitutes, then when we do that formula, when we put in our percent change in the quantity demanded of one over the percent change in the price of the other, we're going to come out with a positive answer. So what that's saying is, if the price of hamburger went up 10%, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to demand more chicken sandwiches. So we're going to have two positive numbers. So we'll have 10% change for the price, and we'll have, let's say, 10% will be our change in quantity demanded of chicken sandwiches. So we'd have positive 10% over positive 10%, and it will equal positive 1 in this case. But the point is that it's a positive number. The reason for that is, as the price of A goes up, our demand for B is going to increase. So we'll have a positive cross-price elasticity. To be honest, usually you're not going to be calculating these too much. It's going to be knowing that fact, that if two goods have a positive cross-price elasticity, it means that they are substitutes. To get a little bit more specific, if those two goods are very close substitutes, not only will the cross-price elasticity be high, it will also be a large value. So you might not even be able to tell from this picture. One of these steaks is a New York strip, the other is a ribeye. So they are both very similar styles of steaks, so they are very close substitutes. If you like New York strip, you probably like ribeye and vice versa. So if you go to the store and the price has changed, ribeyes are more expensive, you're probably going to go for New York strip, and it probably doesn't take very much of a price change to encourage you to do that. So there will be a very large cross-price elasticity. So for instance, the price of New York strip goes up 10%. We're going to instead have ribeye, but the demand for ribeye might change by, it might be 50%. And so we'd have 50% over 10% equals 5. So it'll be a large number compared to 1, obviously. And that'll show us that these goods are close substitutes. All right, what if the goods go together? What if they're complementary? Well, in that case, so we have mustard and hot dogs, so mustard and hot dogs go together. What's going to happen here? Well, if the price of hot dogs increases, what do we expect to happen to the demand for mustard? Well, we expect it to decrease. So we're going to have a negative number in our equation here. So we'll have, let's say that the price of hot dogs goes up 10%, and the demand for mustard decreases by 20%, let's just say. So we would have negative 20% over positive 10%, which will equal negative 2. And again, the reason for this I think does make sense, that these goods are complements. So if the price of one goes up, the quantity demanded or the demand for the other decreases. So we'll have a negative number, and that shows that the goods are complements. Again, just getting a little bit more specific, if the goods are strongly complementary, so you have buy one, get one free quarter pounder day at McDonald's, there's a very good chance you're going to probably also get an order of fries. So we'll have a very negative, so in this case, well, I just made the good cheaper, I should make it more expensive. If they dramatically raise the price of quarter pounders, we're going to probably demand far fewer French fries because we're not going there in the first place. So not only would our number be negative, but it would probably be very negative. On the other hand, if the goods are weak complements, so a McDonald's quarter pounder with a McDonald's salad, if the price of quarter pounders goes way up, we're assuming that these are complements for some reason. I mean, I guess the reason that these could be complements is that if you go to McDonald's, you might buy other things from McDonald's. So we're assuming that you're going to buy the quarter pounder. And if the price of it goes way up, you probably aren't going to McDonald's in the first place. So you're going to demand far fewer McDonald's salads. But again, that might not be the best example of two goods, but the point stands that if the goods are complements, but they don't really go together so well, they're weak complements, then it'll still be a negative number, but it's going to be a smaller negative value. So just something to keep in mind. Again, that's pretty specific. Probably the main takeaway from this video is that if the goods are complements, the value will be negative. If they're substitutes, the value will be positive. This has been a LaMoney production.